Is that it? Where's the car? My husband yelled when my parents gave him 600,000 rubles in an envelope for his anniversary. My brother snorted, cracked open a soda and threw it at my father's shoes. The fizz hissed over the marble like it was laughing at us. Hi everyone, my name is Lena Morozova. I'm 31. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Have you ever watched the people you love tear generosity into humiliation? Dad's hands trembled, still holding the envelope. Mom whispered, "It's a token, not a trade." But my husband, Dennis, scoffed loud enough for the restaurant to echo. A token? We needed a car. 600,000 won't even buy a decent used one. He said it like he was the son they never had and I was just the delivery service for his disappointment. I wanted to disappear into my tea. My brother leaned in, cruel as always. Guess he finally realized you're the charity case now. Dennis laughed. A short, sharp sound that sliced through me. 5 minutes later his phone vibrated. The screen lit his face pale blue. He went silent. Mom, he whispered into the receiver, we're both unemployed now, and there's also the apartment. My father looked up slowly. What apartment? No one breathed. Even the soda can rolled under a chair like it wanted out. Dennis didn't answer. His hands shook so hard he dropped the phone. A message blinked. Termination confirmed. Account access revoked. I picked up the phone, felt the weight of it, like holding someone's last secret. Dad's eyes met mine and for the first time I saw pity where respect used to live. Dennis grabbed the envelope again, voice cracking, "You can keep your charity." But I already knew, this moment was the spark. The beginning of a collapse disguised as celebration. The night my marriage, my family, and the illusion of loyalty all began to crumble. Quietly, beautifully, irreversibly. And beneath the table, I pressed my thumb against the edge of my wedding ring, tracing the groove like a countdown. Because deep down I knew, the real gift hadn't been money. It was the truth wrapped in humiliation. Dennis didn't speak to me the entire drive home. The envelope of rubles sat between us on the dashboard like a live bomb. Every few seconds the car heater blew the corners upward, taunting him. When we reached our apartment he tossed his jacket, muttering, "Your parents made me look pathetic." I stayed quiet. Silence was safer than logic with him. He poured vodka into a chipped glass and downed it. "You knew about this, didn't you? That pathetic envelope show." "I didn't," I whispered. He slammed the glass. "Liar. You should have told me." I looked like a fool. Outside, snow pressed against the windows, the city muffled under its weight. Inside, everything cracked louder. Our voices, our pride, our illusions. He started pacing, muttering about the job loss. I heard fragments. Budget cuts. Unfair. They knew I had a mortgage. I finally asked, "What apartment was Dad talking about?" He froze. His eyes darted to the side. Not confusion but calculation. "It's nothing," he said too quickly. I stepped closer. "Dennis." He rubbed his face, exhaled. "It's under your name technically. Just temporary. My mother helped with the papers. You'll understand later." My stomach dropped. My name? He had never mentioned it. The heater clicked off and the silence grew heavy enough to break something inside me. Later that night when he fell asleep on the couch I opened the drawer where he kept the house files. Receipts, bank forms, apartment lease. Except the lease address wasn't ours. It was a new flat. A larger one. Paid in advance for a year. And under the payment record my name, forged perfectly. That night the snowstorm outside felt almost kind. Gave me time to think. To breathe. To plan. He had used my signature. My trust. My family's gift money. But he had no idea that I wasn't the same woman who once stayed silent. I looked at the ring on my finger and whispered, "You shouldn't have signed my name, Dennis." Because he'd just written the first line of his own ending. Morning came gray and cold. Dennis was gone before sunrise, leaving behind his half-empty glass and a faint smell of regret. I sat on the couch, wrapped in silence, the forged lease open in my lap. His handwriting was too confident, almost proud. Like he believed I'd never notice. The payment date was 2 weeks ago. The payer's note said, "Advance from wife's account." Except my account had been untouched. Or so I thought. I logged in. The numbers hit me like a slap. 620,000 Russian ruble withdrawn over the past 3 weeks. Every transaction marked joint family purchase. That's when my pulse stopped matching my breath. I took screenshots of everything. Then I called the bank. Mrs. Morozova, those transfers were authorized from your linked card. I linked what? Yes, the clerk said, the one ending with 74. Your husband activated it. I ended the call, the phone slipping from my hand. My reflection in the black screen looked like someone I didn't know, calm but burning inside. By noon, Dennis came home with his mother. She walked in like she owned the walls. So, she said coldly, we'll be moving to the new apartment once renovations finish. Dennis said you agreed. I smiled faintly. That's funny. I don't remember agreeing to fraud. Her eyes narrowed. Careful, dear. Marriage means shared everything. Not when signatures are forged. Dennis shifted uncomfortably, pretending to check messages. I watched him, every flinch, every guilt flicker. His mother hissed, you're lucky to have him. Most men don't involve wives in property at all. That was the sentence that sealed her fate in my story. When they left, I didn't cry. I just stared at the falling snow outside, each flake disappearing into the gray. It reminded me of trust, beautiful until it touched the ground. That night, I opened a new folder on my laptop and labeled it Exit. Inside, I saved every screenshot, every bank record, and one silent promise. If he could play smart with paperwork, so could I. But I'd make it legal, poetic, and irreversible. 2 days later, Dennis acted like nothing had happened. He made pancakes, hummed to the radio, kissed my forehead as if love could erase theft. I played along, smiling just enough. Pretending was my new armor. He told me, Mom's found renters for our current place. You like the new one? More space. I stirred my tea slowly. When do we move? He hesitated. Next week. Paperwork's already sorted. My throat tightened. Paperwork. When he left for errands, I called the property registry. The woman on the phone confirmed what I feared. Yes, Mrs. Morozova. The apartment listed under your name is being transferred soon. Co-owner, Denis Ivanovich. Transferred to whom? I asked. She lowered her voice. To his mother. A temporary custodial arrangement, it says. I thanked her and hung up, hand shaking. He wasn't just stealing my signature, he was handing my name to his mother. That evening, I watched him on the balcony laughing on the phone, telling someone, yeah, she'll never know. The words slid through the cold glass and into my chest like a knife. When he came back inside, I said softly, you should rest. You've been busy. He smiled, unaware. You're finally being understanding. If only he knew what understanding looked like. That night, I typed quietly while he slept. My father had a lawyer friend, Sergei Ivanov. I sent him an email. Subject: urgent, property forgery assistance. I attached every screenshot, every file. My message ended with one line. I need to protect what's mine, legally. Sergei replied within hours. Meet me tomorrow morning. And bring the original documents. I stared at Dennis sleeping, the faint snore of a man too sure of his control. His phone buzzed beside him. Mom's speech balloon. Did she sign? I turned the screen away and whispered, not yet. But I will, just not the way you think. Outside, the city lights blinked like silent witnesses. I knew the game had changed. Because I wasn't his victim anymore. I was the storm quietly forming on his horizon. By morning, the world felt colder. Not because of winter, but because I finally saw it clearly. Dennis brewed coffee like a husband who still had a home. I watched him slip on his coat, phone in hand, and leave. The moment the door shut, I grabbed the folder, the forged lease, and the transfer notice. Sergei's office was in a narrow street behind the courthouse, the kind of place where truth and strategy smelled like old paper. He studied the documents in silence. He forged your signature twice, used your account, and initiated transfer of a property under your legal ownership, he said flatly. That's fraud, Lena. The word felt heavy, not like revenge but justice breathing through law. He leaned closer. Do not confront him yet. Let him finish the transfer. When it's complete, we'll freeze it. I nodded, the corner of my mouth twitching with something between fear and power. Also, Sergei added, do not touch the marital account. He'll suspect. I won't, I said. I'm not taking his money. I'm taking back mine. When I got home, Dennis was waiting, his mother beside him. Her coat sparkled with snow. Where were you? She demanded. At the bank, I said. They wanted to confirm the card closure. Her eyes narrowed. Closure. Dennis looked uneasy. You didn't. I cut him off, calm. Don't worry. I didn't touch your secret flat. He froze. What did you say? I smiled softly. The one paid for with my money. Lovely neighborhood, by the way. His face drained of color. His mother barked. You're delusional. I shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe you should check your email. They both turned toward the door, confused. Sergey had already filed a notice of investigation. They'd received the letter by morning. When they left, slamming the door, I didn't move for a while. I just listened to the quiet. That silence, it wasn't emptiness. It was peace rehearsing its lines. In the kitchen light, I saw my reflection again. No tears this time. Just stillness. I whispered to it, you stole from the wrong woman. And for the first time my voice didn't shake. The next morning, Dennis's mother called me before sunrise. Her tone was sugar over venom. Lena, dear, you've made a mistake. The property letter. It's just confusion. Withdraw your complaint and we'll fix everything quietly. I stared out the frosted window, the city yawning awake below. Quiet suits you, I said softly. But silence doesn't erase signatures. She hung up. An hour later, Dennis stormed into the apartment waving his phone. What did you do? You filed a fraud report? Do you realize what that means for my record? I kept folding laundry. It means your record finally matches your actions. He slammed the wall so hard a picture frame fell. You're ruining our marriage. I looked up, calm. You forged it first. He paced like a trapped animal, muttering about losing everything, his job, reputation, the flat. For once he didn't mention me. I watched him crumble under the weight of his own lies, and for a fleeting second I pitied him. Then I remembered the look on my father's face when Dennis mocked him, that quiet humiliation money can't erase. That memory hardened something in me. By noon Sergey called. The property transfer has been frozen. The court granted an interim order. He can't sell, rent, or alter anything under your name. Relief flooded me like warmth after frostbite. Thank you, I whispered. One more thing, Sergey added. His employer contacted us. The fraud report reached their legal department. They're reviewing his severance benefits. Expect fallout. Fallout. The word echoed sweetly. That evening, Dennis tried to cook dinner, desperate for normalcy. We can start over, he said, forcing a smile. I stared at him, the man who used my name to buy lies. I already started over, I said, standing. You just weren't invited. His smile cracked. I took my coat, stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind me. For the first time in months, the air didn't feel stolen. Downstairs, snow kept falling, pure and indifferent, washing the city clean one flake at a time. And I walked toward the courthouse, ready to finish what he began. The courthouse smelled of old paper and cold truth. Sergey met me on the steps, coat collar turned up, briefcase in hand. It's progressing fast, he said. They traced the signature on the lease to Dennis's personal device. He used my laptop, I murmured. Sergey nodded. Then it's airtight. We walked into the courtroom together, the echo of our steps filling the empty hallway. Across the room, Dennis stood beside his mother, pale and shaking, like two people seeing the end of their script before the credits rolled. The clerk read the charges. Fraudulent signature, unauthorized withdrawal, attempted property transfer. My name repeated again and again, no longer attached to silence. Dennis's lawyer tried to twist it, said it was a family misunderstanding, that I'd approved informally. But the judge's eyes hardened when Sergey presented the chat logs, the email from Dennis's mother saying, "Don't tell her until after we move in." The courtroom turned still. Even the air stopped moving. Dennis looked at me once, searching for mercy. I didn't look away. I didn't hate him anymore. Hatred would have meant I still cared. When the session ended, the judge's ruling came swift. The apartment was to remain under my sole name, and the fraud case would proceed to formal hearing. Dennis's assets were frozen. Outside, he caught up to me on the courthouse steps. "Lena, wait, please. I didn't mean for it to go this far." I turned, the winter wind slicing between us. "That's the thing about lies, Dennis. They always go further than you planned." He reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "You should save your apologies for the police." As I walked away, the sun broke through the clouds, pale gold spilling over the frozen pavement. It didn't feel like triumph. It felt like breathing again. I touched my bare ring finger and smiled faintly. The storm had passed. But I wasn't done yet. There was one final thing I had to do, not for revenge but for closure. And it started with an envelope. The same kind my parents once held. A week later, I invited my parents for dinner. Same restaurant. Same table. The city outside glowed under frost, but inside it felt warmer, quieter, honest. Dad placed his hat on the chair, hesitant. "Are you sure about this, Lena?" I nodded. "I need to close the circle." The waiter approached with a brown envelope. I pushed it across the table toward my father. "What's this?" he asked. 600,000 rubles, I said softly. "The same amount you gave Dennis that night." Mom frowned. "Lena, you don't owe us." "I know," I interrupted. "But I wanted to give it back clean. Not through someone else's hands. This time it comes from me." Their eyes softened. For the first time in months, Dad smiled, tired but proud. Outside the window, I saw Dennis across the street. He stood there in the snow, coat unbuttoned, expression empty. His mother wasn't beside him this time. The weight of consequence had replaced her. He didn't approach. He just looked, maybe for forgiveness, maybe for something to hold on to. But there was nothing left to give. I raised my teacup slightly in acknowledgement, then turned away. When I left the restaurant, the air smelled of snow and closure. Sergei had finalized everything. Dennis's forged transfers nullified, his accounts frozen, and the apartment legally restored under my name. He'd agreed to a settlement that forbade contact. Outside, I stopped at the corner where it all began, the same spot where he once shouted about the car. Now he had no car, no job, no lie to drive forward. And I had something better. My peace. As I walked home, the snow glittered under the streetlights, each flake falling like a promise kept. I unlocked my apartment, closed the door gently, and whispered to the empty room, "You tried to build a future on my name. I just reclaimed it." I placed the empty ring box in the drawer beside the old envelope and smiled. The story had ended where it started. Only this time I was the one holding the pen.